West, y'all.
Do you think it influences your career pathway though? Like, let's say for example, interviews, how you progress through, especially related to nursing though. Like,
I think so. Yes, you can't say it doesn't, because tattoos have this aura about them, and historically bad people had tattoos, right? Like you see commonly like gangsters or people that do bad shit. I don't know how to explain it more. Yeah. But the tattoos had a bad rep, I would say. So if you had a tattoo, it would be like, are you trustworthy? Are you this? Are you that?
It's a lot of stigma associated with tattoos.
Now, no, I think less so now. I wouldn't say it's not completely, but I would say less so now because of how we are more accepting of these things. Because tattoos are not really you as a person, right? It's a choice. It's a way of you expressing yourself. And I think they recognize that now, So no, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, like I think in New Zealand, it's a lot more open-minded. So people, for example, I think, and it comes down to culture as well, like, with the Maori art and things. So I think New Zealand is a lot more open to it. I guess there's still an element of it, especially in the corporate world.
Yeah.
But then I know, like my niece, she had a small tattoo, like maybe a little bird or something on her hand, and she wanted to work for the air, as an air hostess. Didn't get the job because of that tattoo, and she had to remove it before she was successfully appointed. Which to me, it's kind of discrimination.
I was just about to ask you, do you think that's discrimination?
Yeah, but
because
then
there was also a couple years ago, or maybe a couple years ago, prior to COVID, where I believe a Maori woman was denied a job because she had a mook on her face, and they said that she didn't meet the standard or the look that this airline was going for. Is that discrimination?
I think it's discrimination. Yeah, but then let's say for example, as an employer, you kind of have a view of where you want to see your business, for example, grow, and the kind of people you want to work in your business. Can that employer, for example, say what uniforms they wear? For example, because even in the police, there was a height requirement at some point. For example, in New Zealand police, you had to be a specific height. I don't think it's there anymore.
Yeah, but I'm sure that was for totally different reasons. As opposed to discrimination, it probably eventually sounded like discrimination.
Yeah, but then but I think it's taking it a bit too far. For example, if you can't get a particular job because you have a tattoo,
I'll play the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
And saying, why can't businesses choose the kind of image they're trying to portray for their business? So the example of, like, let's just go air hostesses. They want a certain look, and if you don't fall into that look, do they not have the right to deny you that job? You know what I mean? So how do you square getting people not being discriminated against because of cultural reasons, and as opposed to still letting companies have that autonomy to choose what they want to for branding, for their image? Is there some common ground somewhere where they're where both of them will meet in the middle, or is there none at all? Because you can say a lot of stuff is discrimination, right? But then it could be just a preference, But then again, now that I'm saying it out loud, it does still sound like discrimination.
But even as something, like uniforms at school, this uniform at school, that's expected kind of, but then you kind of think of all these things, poverty, for example, and stuff. Can people afford uniforms and not,
I've got opposite thoughts to that. I think uniforms were designed to minimize discrimination, because if you think about poverty and things like that, everyone in the school is wearing the same uniform, hence the word uniform. Everyone is the same. So you don't have people who have poor clothing, no shoes and anything like that, but with a uniform it'll be hard to determine who is who, and that's probably like a form of equality, maybe. So so the uniform example may be more less about discrimination. I get the expenses and stuff like that, but I think the principle of it all, the principle of it is probably more about unity than anything else. But, everyone has their own ideas about uniforms and things like that.
Yeah, and I agree with it, Giovanni, because, but I wonder sometimes if they're taking it a bit too far. For example, like your nails, it has to be a certain length. You can't color your hair, for example, can't wear makeup. Piercings and things frowned upon in school and things.
It takes away the individuality of different people.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, you look at the overall picture, and uniforms, what they're trying to achieve is unity and equality. As terrible as that sounds, like the only way we can get equality if we're all the same. And you have to, the only way for equality is that you sacrifice individuality. That's a bit of a, I don't know if that's a good trade-off. But I mean, in schools, I think that's kind of like the main principle for uniforms, So yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you have to look at these cases individually, right? I think you can't just sort of just look at it as a whole and say, if you're not giving jobs to these group of people, that's discrimination. If you're giving it to these people, you're discriminating against someone. Because look at me and you, Nursing is at the moment pushing for more male nurses. Is that discriminating against female nurses because we are preferred at the moment, especially within mental health? As a mental health clinician, is that discrimination? I don't know. The need is for more males, but and as a byproduct of that, less females are being hired.
I think it's a form of discrimination. I'll ask a question. Like, why do you think they want more males to work in mental health nursing?
Because we can take a punch. No, that's not true. A lot of girls can take punches.
Even coming through the nursing school, I remember comments from other nurses. Oh, you'll get the job because you're a male and there's a shortage. Oh, you'll get the job, you're a male, there's a shortage. But does that cut it? I don't know, just being a male,
Okay, so we're moving into very dicey waters here, because let's talk about gender particularly, right? Why do they need more males than females in this field? And the reason for that, at a baseline, there's just more females are in this job, males are underrepresented. So they're trying to even that out. That's equality. If it was switched, that's kind of where things are at the moment. Nursing has always been a female-dominated job, and males are only starting to jump on board. But I think, at a basic level, that's probably the main reason, is trying to have more representation for males in the nursing field. But also, there's certain, see, this is when it comes into very tricky wording. So, but, fuck it, I'm just going to say, there are certain aspects of this job that is more suited to males. The example is working in inpatient units and when it's time for restraints. Restraints, as skilled as you may be, you've trained, you've done all the training, blah, 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 you've done all that. But at the end, the restraining comes down to strength.
Teamwork and strength.
Yeah. More so, teamwork for sure. But mostly comes down to strength, And so for people, to just clarify what restraint is, very, very rarely do we have to put hands on clients. Sometimes it's to help, support them, move them to a different area where they can try and calm down or sort of separate fights, whatever. But there's periods where we have to put hands on people and hold them down and move them in a safe manner to another place. For that to be successful, you need to be skilled, trained in the area, and rely on your teammates. But you also have to be fairly strong to do it. There's some pretty strong people out there. Now, this is not shitting on women at all. But if I had to choose between the 6'4" Islander dude or the Palangi woman who's, weighs under 60 kilos, I'll take the Islander dude, purely on the fact, not because he's male, but size-wise. If there was a 6'2" woman that size, I'd choose them too. But if we had to look at, the groupings of people that are working in our field, we have more bigger males because they're hired particularly to help make that action more safer,